All right, welcome back, guys. Now we're going to dive into meta ad styles. And these are the four main styles that I would recommend that you do. And I'm going to walk you through why I feel that they're most important and most effective for high ticket coaches and consultants. So I'm going to talk more about this in a little bit. The first one is top of funnel. So this is prospecting. And there's two main styles that I really like for the top of funnel for coaches consultant. The first and the main one, majority of your ads should be this style. I call them talking head or founder style ads. You might hear them referred to as, and I'll show you what they look like. So this is an Instagram ad for a client of mine, and she's advertising a very simple, it's a quiz that we essentially have that identifies their metabolic adaptation. I'm not going to get into that. But the reason that that's important is because for the middle of funnel, we use a case study UGC style, which kind of talks about that same topic, but instead of driving them to take the quiz again, right? We have a different call to action, which this one is, I believe, a DN. So it's bringing them directly into Messenger, but the conversation, the two are related. And so what I'm recommending is top of funnel, bunch of talking head, founder, concepts and addressing, the pain and, stories and the things that the transformation that our target audience wants to achieve. But then you're following up with middle of funnel retargeting campaigns. So it would look like this. Top of funnel would be targeting, let's say, women that are interested in fitness and weight loss and, all of the stuff that goes along with that. Remember, your target audience better than anyone, right? So you know what you should be targeting. But the middle of funnel ad is probably only going to target the people who have opted in, leads for the quiz, or maybe people who've engaged with her Instagram. These are people, what we would call warm traffic. Okay. But the important thing is that the messages are related. So talking head, founder style, and then the case study, you might hear it referred to as user generated content. It doesn't have to be testimonials per se, although if you have those, they make great ones. And that could even be more of a bottom of funnel. But for most of you, you're going to be spending majority of your time on top of funnel and middle of funnel because your spend isn't enough. You don't have enough volume to create enough bottom of funnel. Bottom of funnel would be like people who have booked calls but didn't show up, or they booked call but hadn't made a decision yet or didn't buy on the spot. That would be a very small niche down audience. And for those types of people, to run that style of ad, you need a lot of book calls, a lot of cancellations, a lot of no-shows for an ad account like that to make sense. Okay. So for most of you, you're going to be doing top of funnel and middle funnel. And I like these two styles. The green screen style here works really, really well. It could just be a testimonial. So if you have a testimonial kind of mashup of a bunch of testimonials with a call to action to book a call or learn more or watch a presentation or a VSL, take them to that. That's a great strategy as well. I think the green screen one works really well. You can see that one here. It just looks just like a social post. That's on purpose, okay? Not on accident, okay? So talking head and founder leads to case study UGC. The other one that I like is what I call us versus them. For some reason, people like having a good guy and a bad guy, villains and a hero. And so I have one here that I built for my software for Elite 360, and that's going after ClickFunnels as the villain, them. Okay. Now, nothing against ClickFunnels. We used them for years and loved our time with them. They just didn't provide us everything we need. So this ad obviously was a direct, not comparison, but yes. I mean, it's kind of like Coca-Cola versus Pepsi back in the day, right? Bringing attention to what they did. And the copy was all about that. Like, we loved our time with ClickFunnels, but we needed a better solution for our company and our clients. We've referred people to all these different things. And then we, dove into everything that the offer provides that they didn't. Right. So this ad did extremely well, actually still continues to do really, really well. But the point is, it captured a lot of attention. Now, that's the us versus them kind of style. So how might this look in fitness? You could do this with a talking head style, but an us versus them might be more like, mainstream, fitness advice is telling you to do this, but that doesn't work. Or, if you're in the finance niche and you might be, doing an us versus them, your people are telling you to do a 401k, but that's not the way that you're going to reach your financial goals. That's an us versus them. So you could do it with any niche, relationship, health, wellness, fitness, menopause, doesn't matter. You can do an us versus them as a talking head. So it doesn't have to be like this, like an image. The reason that this is a software. So obviously obviously that makes sense. So what's the middle of funnel equivalent, or what's the middle of funnel follow-up to this ad campaign? It is a direct features or benefit style ad, which lists out, like I'll show you the ad. It actually breaks down everything that you get. Now they saw that in the ClickFunnels one, but this one is more of a retargeting. And this, instead of bringing you to a page that talks about ClickFunnels, it just takes you straight to the Elite 360 website, okay, to order. Whereas this one is a very specific page, it's like a funnel page, right? So it's ClickFunnels focused. Right. So that's where the two play to each other and have a specific purpose. So who is this going to? It's obviously designed to appeal to people who use ClickFunnels or are familiar with them. This one is going to all of the people who opted in, got a demo, people on our page that hit the page. We have a demo lead magnet. All of those people were being retargeted, but the ad style is features and benefits. So these are the four that I recommend that you work with, and in the which categories. I'd say a majority of your ads, if you're in that 0 to 10K a month in ad spend, a majority of those ads should be the talking head style. Okay. And you can do the same kind of talking head style on Facebook. I just happen to take a screenshot of Instagram here. Same with the case study UGC. So it doesn't have to be just Instagram. But again, you should know your market. You should know where most of your market is hanging out. If you are specializing in, let's say, health and fitness, Instagram is probably going to be a good place for you to spend a majority of your ad spend. If you're specializing in technology and the Elite 360 software, we get a lot more of our clients from Facebook than we do from Instagram. It's just probably a little older audience, a little more techie. They spend a lot more time on their desktop than they do on mobile. Instagram is very much mobile friendly and mobile focused. So your ads, if that's going to be your niche and that's where you're going to spend a lot of your time, should look just like this. It should look like a social post. Really. And I'll talk about that more in some other trainings, but these are the four core styles that I would recommend that you start with. A majority going to be in this talking head founder style where you're telling the story. And the story, that's the most effective conversion strategy. Talking about what your transformation was like. And if you don't have a transformation, then it's talking about other people's transformations. And I'll use this client as an example because this is a client who was never overweight. She was never out of shape. So she can't talk about her transformation from going from A to B, right? So instead, what she does is she talks about client transformations. And that's her case study or UGC style ads where she's featuring stories of other people. Very effective for middle of funnel. They could be effective, for top of funnel as well. It's just typically in top of funnel, what you're trying to do is get people's attention, right? And you're trying to drive them somewhere to get them to take an action of some kind, just to get them to kind of come into your ecosystem. Maybe that's even just as simple as a page follow or a social, page follow, get them to follow you. Maybe that's all you're doing. And then you're retargeting with middle of funnel. That's fine. But with her, this specific ad was driving them to a quiz where they take the quiz and they opt in, and then they have an opportunity to schedule a call if they want, but most people don't, obviously. So that's why we hit all of those quiz submissions, we call them leads, with a follow-up kind of case study UGC style ad. Okay. So there you go. There's the four styles that I'd recommend you start with.